Okay, folks, we're going to get into the test-taking strategies. Right now, sometimes when you're in a class like this, they'll pop a video in and you just feel like, this guy's kind of filling time or whatever. This test-taking strategy is very, very, very important. I guarantee you, after watching this video on test-taking strategies alone, you're guaranteed to do 10 or 15 points better on the exam than you would without it. Okay, so over the years, I've really gotten more and more stern with how I communicate the test-taking strategies. Bottom line, if you break my rules, you're going to fail. Okay? Now, I don't say that in a threatening way, and I don't say that that way if you come back and have a problem, you're not going to hear me say, oh, that was your fault, I told you. That's not what this is about. This is just about showing you how valuable these test-taking rules are. Okay? So I don't even call them my rules, I just call them the rules, right? These are the rules you need to follow when you go to take the exam. Now we're going to start off with some real common sense type stuff, okay? So test-taking strategies, some of that stuff is pretty easy. We're going to talk about good night's rest and talk about not ODing on the caffeine, that kind of makes sense. And then we're going to get into a little bit deeper detail on that, okay? But I guarantee if you'll follow these rules, you're guaranteed to do 10 to 15 points better on the exam than you would have without. I've had hundreds of students over the years. I've had tens of thousands of students over the years, but I've had hundreds of students over the years come back and say, Wade, those test-taking strategies are what saved my life on this test, okay? Very, very, very important. Okay, I can't stress that enough to you. So now is not the time to be running in and out. Now is not the time to go for a smoke break or grab something to drink or whatever. Now is time to pay attention. Let's get through this information. That way when you go over there, you got a fight plan, right? So that's kind of what I equate these test-taking strategies to. When I go in there, I want to have a strategy. What am I going to do? What am I going to watch for, right? Where's that punch that's going to come out of nowhere and get me in trouble? So we're going to warn you about those. That way you don't get surprised by them, okay? So inside your folder, when we checked you in this morning or yesterday morning, you should have a sheet in there called test-taking strategies. So dig that sheet out of the folder. If for whatever reason you don't have one, that's fine. Just hang tight. After the video is over, you can go up front and talk to somebody and tell them you need a test-taking strategy sheet, and they'll give you a copy of those. But again, that way you can just keep up with me. So go ahead and pull that out if you have it. Again, if you don't have it, don't worry. On a break, you can go grab one. Okay? So starting off the top of the test-taking strategies, number one says, do not second-guess yourself. Guys, this is one of the biggest killers on the exam is second-guessing yourself. I've had people go through, take the exam, and they said, Wade, I felt good. I got to the end of the exam, had some time left over, so I went back and started checking all my stuff, and I changed a bunch of answers, right? My response to them, years ago, you had to wait 2 weeks to get your scores back. Years ago, I'd say, okay, I'll see you in the next class because you failed, right? They haven't even gotten their scores back, and I would just tell them. We are much more likely to change it from right to wrong than we are from wrong to right. So do not second guess yourself. Always go with your first impressions. Now, there's one exception to that. If you read the question, you think, well, I'm not sure if that's right, and you go find the answer, then you can change it. If you would swear up and down you picked A, but now you think it's B, leave it alone. The only exception you can ever use to change your answer is if you find it in a book and you realize, okay, well, I picked A, but in the book it says the answer is B, then you can change it. Other than that, always go with your first impressions. Never second guess yourself, okay? Rule number 2, take the entire exam, then go back and look up the ones you could not answer, okay? So we're going to actually teach you to take this exam in 3 to 4 to 5 passes, right? So let's talk about that. Very important. First time through the exam, I want you to go through and answer every question. Don't leave a single question blank. If you don't know, guess. We'll talk about a philosophy I use later called guess, mark, next. But the first time through the exam, I want you to answer every single question. If you don't know, guess. If you know which one to guess, that's why it's called a guess, right? Just pick one. A, B, C, or D. The whole exam is multiple choice. If you don't know which one to pick, just pick one. Mark it for review. I'll show you how to do that later, and then move on to the next question. Okay? So the first time through, I want you to answer every single question. Go through the entire exam, answer every single question. If you don't know, guess, mark it for review. I'll show you how to do that shortly, and then go to the next question. Now, just so you know, the reason you want to do that, there's a lot of experience that goes into this test-taking strategy. One of the things is some people start off and they'll get to question number 5 and they'll start looking it up, and then question number 10, they'll go look it up, whatever. The problem is, how many times have you been looking for one thing and find something else while you're looking for that one thing, right? So if I take the entire exam the first time before I even open my books or start looking anything up, then the advantage of that is I'm effectively looking for the entire exam at one time instead of looking for that one question at a time. So we'll talk more about that as we go. Take the entire test, then go back and look up the ones you could not answer. In this case, we want to answer them, mark it for review. I'll show you how to do that in a little bit, and then go to the next question. Okay? Number 3, take your time. Now, you don't have time to mess around. The clock we talked about is the biggest enemy on the exam. But don't freak out, right? You ever catch yourself in the morning, you're running all in a hurry, and well, you drop your keys, and you spill your coffee, and you got to get another coffee, and then your keys fell down through the grate, and you got to take the screws out to get the grate off, to get your keys out, right? All that rustling around, hurrying around, really cost you more time than it saved you. So that's what we're talking about here when it talks about take your time. When you sit down, some of you guys are freaked out already. When you sit down, just take a deep breath. That's pretty hard for us, isn't it? Pretty hard for us to slow down and take a breath. But I want you to listen to my tone of voice. Do you hear how much slower I'm talking? And my tone of voice has changed. I'm much more calm. Just after that 3 seconds of, right? So we'll talk about taking a break here in a little bit. But take your time. When you're sitting up to take the exam, okay, I'm here. I got my books. I've done the best I can do to study and be prepared. Here we go. Number 4, get to the test location early so you do not have to worry about being late. Me, I'm picky about this stuff, right? I fly out to different places to teach every month, and first thing I do, I fly in, I go check out the place. Do they know I'm going to be there? Do they have the room set up for me? Is my projector there? Do I have a table to check in? Did my books arrive? Whatever, I check all that stuff out. And then, for me, my downtime is I go to the movies. That's what I do. I just go to the movies and check out, right? So I'm sitting there watching the big screen. I get to relax, right? I don't have to worry about it. Relaxing, getting ready for the next day. Next day I walk in, I'm ready to go. No stress, whatever. I know exactly which exit to take. I know exactly how long it's going to take me to get there from my hotel. I know where the facility is, that kind of a thing, okay? So we have maps to help you get to the test site. So if you need a map, just talk to somebody here in the office. Be glad to give you a map. It'll have the address and the phone number on there, local phone number. You can call them if you need to. But again, if it were me, I would get to the location early. If it's me, I'm so anal about this, I'm going to go by after class today, just drive by the test site. That way I know where it's at. Okay, that way if I need to get there, I know exactly where it's at. Number 5, do not worry about the speed of the others around you taking the exam. If they finish before you do, don't think you're running late. What that means is you should not compare yourself to this person over here. You don't know which test the other person's taken, right? The GB98 portion of the GB98 exam is 5 hours long. The GB2 portion of that same GB98 exam is only 3 hours and 40 minutes long, right? Some of these tests are 2 hours and some of these tests are 4 hours, 5 hours even. So again, don't compare yourself to somebody else. Don't say, well, if they're leaving, I should be ready to leave. Surely I'm as smart as they are, right? Just remember, you need to look at your clock on your computer and say, okay, I've got this many minutes left. That's how much longer I'm going to stay. Do not leave the test location early. Stay there. Don't worry about the speed of the others around you, right? Don't compare yourself.